but as a white man who does not struggle with white guilt. Like, here's what I know. My 8-year-old son is blonde and he has blue eyes. The white is strong in him. All right? The white is strong in him. Blonde hair, blue eyes. Here's what I know about my son. My son never in his life will be followed around a store with someone wondering what he's doing. Ever. No one will ever watch my little boy, when he's a teenager, walk down the side of the road and wonder what he's up to. He gonna wear a little polo shirt, maybe an Aggie t-shirt. Nobody's gonna, don't whoop in service. There's a time for that. There's a time. This is not that time. This is not that time. Nobody gets to get their guns up or hook them or whoop. This isn't the spot. Danny, that'll be church discipline, bro. You better put those horns down. And then in the end here, my son doesn't, I'm not gonna worry when he's a teenager and he goes out that if he does something asinine that somebody's gonna shoot him. I'm just not gonna have to worry about that. You know why? Because he's blonde-headed and he has blue eyes. And he can go out and be just a normal, friggin' idiot teenager, and I don't have any concern that a police officer is gonna shoot him. None. Doesn't enter my, I don't have to train him. When you get pulled over, you better put your hands up on that thing. You better get that light on. You better, I don't have to train him. Because nobody's gonna approach him that way. It's just not gonna happen. It's not gonna happen because he's got blonde hair and he's got blue eyes. That is not true about my African-American friends and their sons. They do have to train their sons a bit differently than I have to train mine. They do have to wrestle. Like when somebody stares at me across a restaurant, you know what I think of? I wonder if they know who I am. I wonder if they go to the Village. I don't ever go, why's that dude staring at me because I'm white? I don't have to do that because I'm part of the predominant privileged culture. But some of my African-American friends, they do have to go through that wrestle. And so again, here's what happens with white privilege. What happens in white privilege is now in our head, we're just completely ignorant of history and why and what happens. And so what the gospel has purchased for us in an event like this is the opportunity to mirror and model well what Christ has purchased for us in the cross. A leaning in to understand, a leaning in with great compassion in order to support and walk alongside our brothers and sisters who have been purchased by the blood of Christ. I'm gonna have to lean in because, so as I'm talking about Anglos, it has to move from, let me tell you how I believe the progression of understanding has to work. We have to be honest about our own bigotry that's still in there. See, I hate the political correct nonsense that rests over our culture right now. It's ridiculous. It's done nothing to change our hearts. It's just changed our mouth and it sent our bigotry underground. It hadn't transformed it, it's just made it not popular. And so here's what needs to happen first. Believers in Christ of the Anglo persuasion must learn to pay attention to their thoughts when they're driving in their car and see some young African-American boys walking on the street. What do you think? Even in a situation like Ferguson, it is our default to just go, well, maybe it's obvious. He robbed a store and this, surely he wasn't an angel. Sure. And you know who's not also an angel? Most of the children in this community. But the Bill of Rights is the Bill of Rights, and brutality is brutality. And there's a rule of law that must be obeyed. So where does it start? What are you thinking? What's going on in your mind? What's going on in your heart? See, the reason I said providentially something's at work is because God is at work in our hearts to reveal things that we'd like to think aren't there. So we pay attention, and then we engage empathetically, and that moves into relationship. See, this is never solved until all of our friends don't look exactly like us. And you got to lean into the awkwardness. And if you're African American and you're here, here's how you can serve us We're not all racist, but a lot of us don't understand because we're white, and we've always been white, and we don't know anything other than being white. And I'm grateful to God that God has sent me some African-American brothers who I'm able to lean into, who are able to lean in me. It's kind of this non-aggression, I don't understand, can you help me understand kind of thing that we need. So years ago, one of our Acts 29 pastors, an African-American, said, Pastor Matt, can I ask you a question? I don't want to offend you, but I've been wondering something about white people, and so I qualify. So I thought, all right, what's up, Pastor? And he said, I don't want to offend you. And so already I'm starting to go, gosh, what's he about to ask me, right? And here's what he asked. Well, why is white people worship so morose? I said, what? He was like you guys know you can enjoy the Lord, right? I mean, you can clap and shout and sing and enjoy God. Why is it always like a funeral when you guys sing? And here's what I'm thinking. Are you kidding me? We just blew that song up. I mean, we rocked that out. I'm going to get some emails about how we rocked that out from some older white folk. We're pushing the boundaries, bro. And then I didn't get offended. Here's what I thought. What else don't I know about us? What else is true about us that I don't know? And so really, the play between us must be one of help me understand. And there must be grace extended. And there must be patience shown, and we must not push away from the table too quickly. But we don't just pray. Calloused knees, yes, but calloused hands. So all the good work that was done yesterday down in Dallas, if that doesn't lead to long-standing relationships where discipleship takes place, then we painted some walls. Awesome. But I'm not quite sure what else we accomplished. And so we engaged. How's God wired you? How's He placed you? The handymen are engaging in those ways. Some of our lawyers work to kind of push back some of the systemic injustice that we see down in Louisville and some of the places we've seen in this area. And others still use their business savvy to help and serve and push back what is dark. And others don't. I'm going to just go on and on. We bloom where we're planted. Not all of us need to learn New Testament Greek. That's not what Christian maturity looks like. It's sitting under the fear of the Lord, looking at His size, then paying attention at the world around us, and with a deep held confidence in God's ability, not ours, we begin to dream big and act. So we dream big, not because we're able, but because we're confident that God can. And we get to work not because we believe we're gonna be able to overthrow anything, but because we're confident that God will, and it's our turn to be valiant. That's it. That's all this is. Our turn to be valiant. Because be straight, I have listened to the ignorance of my grandparents and watched their lack of action with shame. And I just, when I'm 80, don't want to look back and go, God, I wish I'd have leveraged it a bit more. I wish I'd have gotten the fight. And I have no doubt that my grandchildren will be somewhat embarrassed of me one way or the other, but ultimately, when it comes to these things, I want to serve the Lord and be wrung out and have very calloused knees and very calloused hands. I want to, in confidence of the Lord's power, dream big dreams and work very, very, very hard. And then from there, one of the things that happens if God begins to, according to this text, marvelously help you. Can we just agree that I think being marvelously helped by God is something I really want? I don't want just help, I want marvelous help. It's one thing to just help, it's another thing to be marvelously helped. And so what I want is to be marvelously helped by the Lord. Now, the danger in being marvelously helped by the Lord is there is an insidious little thing in the human heart that wants to fail to acknowledge God and own the success as the work of our hands. And once that has happened, the very power source that has flown through us to see the victories vanishes and leaves us to the imagination of our hearts or our own egos. Let's look back at 15. In Jerusalem, he made machines invented by skillful men to be on the towers and the corners to shoot arrows and great stones, and his fame spread far, for he was marvelously helped, till he was what? Strong. Now we know that strength isn't the issue because the Bible has repeatedly said in this chapter that he was strong, and that was a really good thing.